The 1920s, also known as the Roaring Twenties, was an era of new ideas and development of culture in America due to the newly sustained economy. There were different styles of music and dance, such as jazz and the Charleston. During this time period, the emergence of women known as the flappers was significant. They were women who drank, smoked, wore short skirts with bobbed hair, said unladylike things, and were more sexually free. The slang word flapper describes a young woman and is referred to a young bird flapping its wings while learning to fly. However, it may derive from an earlier use in northern England to mean teenage girl, referring to one whose plaited pigtails flapped on her back, or it means prostitute.
Flappers had a very active nightlife and, in general, a more busy lifestyle than many of the women that came before them. Previously, women were mainly housewives or worked in factories and didn't have much of a social life. Drinking, smoking, and having a nightlife was considered promiscuous and unladylike. However, with the new laws in place that allowed women to vote, women had a considerably greater amount of freedom. The women of the Roaring Twenties experimented with their newfound freedom by going to jazz clubs, smoking, drinking, and attending vaudeville shows. Even though they had more freedom, many of them still went to jobs in factories as sales associates or as clerks in the new industry that was created in the midst of World War I.
Flappers were from the urban parts of the North. The type of style the flappers were known for consisted of hemlines that rose to the knee, along with shoulder-length hair, known as the bob. Also, women started using makeup, which was earlier forbidden because only prostitutes wore it. Much of their clothing was French-style clothing, and Coco Chanel had a big influence on them. Boyish cuts were in vogue, especially the bob cut, Eton crop, and shingle bob. Finger waving was used as a means of styling. Hats were still required to wear, and popular styles included the newsboy cap and cloche hat. Jewelry usually consisted of Art Deco pieces, especially many layers of beads and necklaces. Pins, rings, and brooches came into style. Horn-rimmed glasses were also popular.
We'd make a lovely pair if you could only care, but you're a Frigidaire.
The flapper's appearance was of a flat chest and a skinny figure with no curves. The style associated with the flapper already included the boyish physique and close-fitting hat, but a hobble skirt rather than one with the high hemline. Some famous flappers include Clara Bow, Norma Shearer, Greta Garbo, and Joan Crawford. Beginning in the early 1920s, flappers already began appearing in newspaper comic strips, most notably in Blondie, but also strips such as Fritzy Ritz. Joan Crawford began dancing at a young age and went on to act in dozens of films. She was one of Hollywood's top stars in the 1930s, earning an Oscar for her lead role in the 1945's Mildred Pierce. She was doing poorly in school, but saw to dancing as her career. She danced in the Broadway show Innocent Eyes, and in 1925 started to work on screen for MGM. She starred in a number of silent films.
Norma Shearer was born into a wealthy family in Montreal and moved to New York City to pursue her dreams. She was not successful at first, but after having a few small roles in movies, she got discovered by the head of production at MGM, Irving G. Thalberg, and her career took off. Greta Garbo was born in Sweden and was discovered at her workplace, a Swedish department store. After getting discovered, she starred in some Swedish films before moving to the United States and working there. She was immediately loved by the American public for her sensual and mysterious look. Clara Bow was a silent film actress of the 1920s. She got famous because of her role in the movie It and started getting referred to as It Girl.
Some of the intentions of the flappers included that they wanted to get away from the double standard that was in place for men versus women. Many women celebrated the age of the flapper as a female declaration of independence. Experimentation with new looks, jobs, and lifestyles seemed liberating compared with the socially silenced woman in the Victorian age. The flappers chose activities to please themselves rather than their fathers or husbands.
parti, quel tracas. Mon Dieu que c'est vache, mon amoureux est reparti là-bas. Mon Dieu que c'est triste, il m'aimait si peu. Moi je l'aimais tant, je crois. Mon Dieu.
Overall flappers define an era of new women who were not afraid to take their place as equals amongst men. Their influence is still very much prevalent today. The fringe style that were seen on many dresses in the 1920s are still seen on some of the major fashion runway models, such as Marchesa and Gucci. The effects of their movement is still seen today as women are more and more empowered and closer to achieving equal standards